Laaraji, first off, can you tell me a little bit about your history with Ananda? And is
Sri Brahmananda Saraswati,
Thank you.
who was known originally as Dr. Rasmamurti Mishra.
He was a
neurosurgeon,
yeah.
psychiatrist, came from India in the early 50s, right? The early 50s?
Could be.
I think so. And worked at Bellevue Hospital. In fact, he was chief of one of the departments.
So did John, who's
I
going to be
know,
with us tonight.
I know.
It's really interesting.
Bellevue, yeah. And he found this, as I'm told historically, that many people, staffers at the hospital, started coming to him for advice. So he would hold sessions at his apartment, and more people were seeking him during his not being a doctor time, and looking to him as a guru. And fast forward, I guess, after several years of balancing all of that, a group of people who were gaining a lot from Sri Brahmananda, Dr. Mishra, formed what was called the Yoga Society of New York. And then from that, they bought the property in Monroe, New York, that became Ananda Ashram 57 years ago, something like that.
Had you been there before you met Laaraji?
No, I had not been there before going with Laaraji.
When did you start going there?
1979, and I usually can remember that date because I was invited by a woman who was pregnant at the time. Not by me. Pregnant at the time. And her daughter, named Bhavani, is whenever I see them, I'm reminded of the time that Bhavani was in the womb of her mother. So 79 was, I was invited by the mother at a yoga retreat, a yoga center that was opening somewhere in Ridgewood, New Jersey. And I was invited to go play music for this yoga studio opening, and they were there to represent Ananda Ashram. They heard me playing music, she and another representative of Ananda, and they invited me to come to Ananda in exchange for my music, a free weekend, just come. And I eventually got to Ananda on a very snowbound day in New York. I remember taking a bus up to Monroe, and the bus from New York to Monroe, then getting a cab from there to the ashram. And the grounds were covered, just pristine silence. And as the cab drove away, I was standing outside of the main house. The cab left and leaving me drowning in this pristine, blissful quietude. So my introduction to Ananda was very blissful, very serene. And the teacher wasn't there at the time because that time of the year he was either in Florida or California. So I went into the reception room, and there was this quiet young receptionist greeted me. And it was my first time at Ananda. And I would go up infrequently to play music until one particular warm spring day, the teacher had returned to being at the ashram during the warm seasons, that he met me on his property. Before then, I had met him in places like Beacon Theater in New York. We did something called the UN Year of the Child. And there were Odetta, many other speakers were lined up on chairs on the stage, and I was invited to come and play glue music in between speakers. So I would sit on stage and play zither. And it was about a 2-hour show, and about near an hour and 45 minutes, maybe only half of the speakers had gotten to talk. And so the MC said, we're going to make this real short. Can everybody come up and just do one little quick thing? And Sri Brahmananda was next. He came up, brought his chair with him, sat cross-legged on the chair in his orange robes, orange hat, and his black magnetic wand. Closed his eyes and went Ram 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 Ram. Then he picked up the chair and left the stage. And I said, heavy. That was my introduction to him. Then I would see him at Hare Krishna restaurants. I'd go have all you could eat for $5, and sometimes I'd pass by the celebration hall, and he would be standing there watching the Hare Krishna celebration in progress.
This is in the city?
It's in the city.
Okay.
Yes.
So you became officially his student? Did you like ask him to be your teacher, or?
No, I just showed up, played music for the meditations, asked questions, listened very intently. His way of representing the Vedanta, or the teaching of the non-dual space, was intriguing. And I would watch him closely, body language, breath language, eye language. And that was a teaching. Here was someone who was demonstrating consciousness. I considered his teaching was full of leanness, no fat, and very in the moment, here, now. So I would come often, play music, sometimes in Florida, sometimes in California. And eventually my questions got fewer and fewer. And one particular weekend, I went up to the ashram when everyone else had gone to some celebration somewhere else. So there was just myself and a friend musician, Nadi. We were at the ashram, and he probably figured that I was not interested in the social life, that I had come up to the ashram. And he told me, you've been wearing half orange. It's time to wear full orange. You're a monk. Time to go full sannyasin. And
This is Sri Brahmananda said this.
Yes. And I said, oh. I said, hey, this sounds extreme. And me wear orange because I associated the idea of Swami with people from India who had certain credentials. And I said, I don't know if I could pull this one off. So he said, we're going to give you honorary ceremony this weekend. And the next day was going to be a fire ceremony. And some of the people who were on the ashram were going to help co-facilitate this. And he gave me a full set of orange clothes and gave me the name, at that time, it was Natarajan Nadananda. Natarajan, the dancer, and Nadananda for the bliss of sound. And I was impressed that he heard that the Nadananda would come from my experience of being immersed in Nadam in the 70s and having a full-blown Nadam transformative experience. But I've never really shared it with anyone, but he heard it in my music, or he was psychologically attuned to this. He was known to give very surprising psychological readings to people. So the next day, I obliged, and I showed up, wore the robes, and he gave me a honorary ceremony, an honorary initiation. He said that you have been initiated within. You have already been initiated, and it's trying to surface. Now it's time to speed it up. That was his language. And afterwards, I asked some of the other swamis, what does this mean? Sexually? No sex? He says, no seductive sex. He says, everyone is your friend. You're in service to the whole world. And that sort of was the gist of it. And he saw my interest, he saw my dedication and devotion to understanding, reading the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedanta, and doing my inner meditation and getting clear within. And so when people say, is he my guru? And he constantly would remind us, I am not your guru. The guru's inside, your inner guru. Do trance. His favorite word was trance. Go into trance and connect with your inner guru.